We're live.
All right. Well, this is exciting. Welcome to everybody that is going to tune in now or later. This week, we're going to cover the A's, the C's, and the E's for a longer course than we looked at last week, right, Gina?
Yes, it's a little bit longer.
This one's
Yeah,
29 kilometers. Yep.
exactly.
But it's going to favor a very protocol to last week, right? So last week was super punchy, up and down, and this one is pretty flat.
Pretty flat, except for hilly Khan. That's reverse, right? That's in the middle. So still quite draftable, but yeah, a little bit of elevation. Not too much though. Nothing compared to Scotland.
Yeah, and the Zwift projection, their beta Zwift insider metrics say that a 4 watt per kilo ride would be 40 minutes for this one, and 2 watts per kilo would be 53 minutes. So we'll probably see the A's come in somewhere around 40, and the E's probably come in around an hour.
Yeah, exactly. And we're just gonna do our best. We're gonna focus on the A's and C's, like Beccah already said. But if we can catch some footage of our B's, our D's, and our E's, obviously we're going to check and see what we can do. We're definitely gonna try and get the finishes of the D's and the E's on there as well. So I think that will be fun.
And so last week when we covered the A's, we only covered the EMEA time zone. So we're going to go through right now the top 5 from each category, right, Gina? I think that's the people that we want to make sure that we watch for both sides. So
yeah, should we start with the Americas first to just give you an idea of what happened there as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. And no surprise you see Anna Russell up there.
I wasn't surprised either, no.
Yeah. And Jen Rial. So, I mean, I imagine that they were I imagine that they were together when they crossed the line. And as they're listed as Riot and Saris, but they raced together. So they had 3 of their teammates in there because Bronwyn is also on Riot. So I bet that was a battle, even though it was a small field, small but mighty.
Yeah, only 7 riders in the end. So we've got the whole out of the whole list of them right here. But you know what? 7 riders. Well done for starting in your A category. And even in a small field, a race is still a race, and then you will get great benefits from it, I think.
Especially with people of this quality. So even if it was a small field, having Anna Russell, Jen Rial, Heather Lincoln in there, Christine Grant, I mean Kristen White, those are all super fast riders. I've never ridden with Diane, but she's in 4th, so she must have been ahead of Kristen White, which is impressive.
Yeah, that says enough, right? Good.
Yeah.
We have like 3 minutes till race start, so we're going to click through the Americas for a little bit. So Sonia Jobidan from Synergy, and then 2 Ionian riders, Christina Weiss and Flavia Le Pen, are on the podium in the B. Well done as well. And you can see that the B group is a little bit bigger here as well. So 16 riders starting, which already gives you a little bit of the feel of a peloton, I suppose.
And I do feel like you're going to see different teams pop up. I know this is an individual series, but you'll see, for instance, ATP pop up, which is a great North American-based team. And you don't see them in the EMEA results because they don't have a big EMEA presence. So you see both in the C's and the B's in the top 5. There's an ATP rider. So I imagine that's going to flow through to all of the weeks.
Yeah, I suppose so, and we'll keep a little bit of an eye on them in the Americas as well throughout. So just a shout out to Rita Muro, who's leading the C Americans, and obviously then also won last week. Well done, Maggie Corrigan from the Drafting Dinos, and Christy Delaire from Team Rave, also in the top 3. So nice to see, and also like you said, nice to see a whole bunch of different teams heading these rankings right here.
Absolutely.
Are
And
these Our E's, I'm just looking at the time a little bit. We don't want to miss our original race start. So just a big shout out to the Americas and a quick look at what happened in the Europeans as well. So you can definitely see that the pens are bigger here. Joe
And
Munden,
especially,
Ryan
this is
Denson,
impressive. Yeah.
Charlotte Kolkla. Are these the ones that we should expect for today as well? Or are these not the biggest sprinters you think in the Europes?
I think that these are probably, you're probably going to see the same people up there. Alicia is a big sprinter. I don't think that any of these riders are going to be, because the A's all finished in one group last week. I think this week you're probably going to see the same. Tennille, for instance, is a higher wattage rider, and she's probably going to have more to give at the end. But I don't know if she can. I don't know if she can outdo some of these in the top 5. I think it's probably going to be a similar spread, but they were so close last week.
Oh, it was so close last week. I was so happy that we could catch that finish on as well. So I hear my beeping. So that would mean that there is 3 seconds to go at this point. There we go. Picking up the race start, going in with Dobbin straight away.
Oh, you see those fire socks. It's always a good sign.
Always a good sign. It means that we're starting fast.
Yep. And for this week, it's 29 kilometers, and they're going to pick up a power up right when they get out of the gate. So they're going to have a power up for that Hilly KOM reverse, which really could impact what their strategy is for that KOM. Even though there's no points at play, it will definitely impact their strategy.
I mean, if it were me, I would definitely build my strategy around Hilly KOM a little bit. Being, I suppose, a punchy rider myself, I would want to make use of that Hilly KOM for sure.
Yeah, and it really depends on the pack, right? Because the Hilly KOM is that 30 to 45 seconds of super steep, and then it kind of evens out, and it's a bit lumpy bumpy for the rest of the KOM. And if you don't make it over that selection, over that first 30 to 45 seconds, you're going to be chasing for the rest of that time, and that's painful.
Oh yeah, it will be painful. And it's especially the top is not easy. The Hilly KOM top is definitely not an easy one.
Oh no. This week they have the opportunity to get the draft, the feather, or the AERO. So some of these riders, I mean, all 3 of those could be useful on the Hilly KOM reverse, but you'll probably see the feather being used in the beginning, which means that everyone will know that those riders don't have a power up later in the KOM. And then the draft won't be of much use in that first steep bit. So they'll probably use it later when there's a little bit of a rolly up and down. Or somebody smart will use it through the banner and get a lot of rest on the way down while picking up their second power up.
Yeah, you could kind of do like a double power up thingy, right? So that would be fun to see. If
yeah.
How many power ups do we get in this course?
They should get 3. So they should get 1 right out of the gate. They should get 1 the Hilly KOM reverse, and then 1 in the Fuego Flat sprint.
Exactly. Yes. Good. This is the start of our C race. We are in with them right now, just gone under the banner, picked up their first power up as well. They are off and rolling.
So you see this field is almost twice as big as the A's. So the A's started with 34 and the C's are starting with 59. So quite a different pack dynamic there.
And I think it's not even our biggest pack. If we look at it, well, we can quickly go in with one of our D's and see them go off as well. They are in with 90 actually.
Oh, yeah. So there were 89 signups for the D's.
Oh, 68 starters. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's always that little bit of dropout, and you never know exactly what you're going to get when you enter the pens. But
I mean, that's a good pack to work with, a good pack to draft off of, right?
Yeah, that's almost ZRL size. And then the E's are also a really healthy field. So they have 73 signed up. So I imagine it'll probably be somewhere in the 60s.
Ooh. Yeah, they are right on cue. The E's are starting right now. So in a moment, we'll see how big their pen size is as well. Um, I find it so amazing to look at the pen sizes. I can remember a couple of years ago when I just started racing myself, and you were happy when you were like 10 ladies, right? And Iceni is just such an amazing race, and it's lovely to see that we can have 5 categories now, and an E category is starting with 45 ladies.
That's awesome. And these are all 0 to 200 ranked in the ZRS score. So these are likely to be split up across the longer race. So just like we saw last week, where the A's all finished in a pack in the short punchy course, we would expect that the E's and probably the D's would be split up over this first part of the course.
I mean, look at this already at the start. You can see that it elongated to one big line, and now there's a little hill starting as well. So maybe some of them can actually work their way back in, but there are going to be people and difficulties already. You see one of the ladies pop a feather. That's likely not out of luxury. I would definitely, if you could, I would definitely wait until the hilly KOM and the steep part of the hilly KOM to do that.
Yeah, there's definitely a benefit to race experience when it comes to power up usage. Um, I remember actually Coalition put on a chase race, and Alice Lethbridge was able to get in with the D's. So she's obviously a very experienced elite rider, and she was coaching the D's on when to use their power ups. And I was sitting in B, like, oh, taking notes. When does she think you should use it, and what should you do? Because as you race more and more, you really learn where to get the most out of it.
I think like anything, it's also very person dependent, right? Think about what kind of a rider you are. When do you need most help? When are you struggling? Um, are you are you able to possibly go for the final sprint? You can even think about saving an aero helmet if you really want to gamble on a sprint and you're able to stick to the group without using it, right?
Absolutely. I always tell the women on my team that everyone has a superpower and you just have to find your own. And that's something you learn through racing. And I know some people enter Zwift from being racers outside, and they already have their superpower and they think they know it. But Zwift is a game, and it is different than riding outside. So you might have a different one.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think Zwift is different than riding outside. The constant power that you need to put out in Zwift is something that you rarely have to do outside. There will be corners, you will have to maneuver in the peloton and the pack, whereas here you just need to have power on all the time, basically.
Yeah. And it's
Good.
amazing.
I've decided to switch back to the Ace because they're starting what we call the dirty suppressor. So I thought that would be fun to watch.
Yeah. And you see Mim right on the back. I know she is probably trying to be as conservative as possible because she is in with the A's, which is she's a lower A by ZRS score. And I know she's probably thinking she needs to conserve as much as possible. So she's hiding right in the back. And you see Tennille as ever at the front. Um, she is always she likes to lead from the front. So you see a couple BL13 riders in there. Jill Pruitt, for instance, this is always fascinating to me, lives in Johannesburg in South Africa. And so she's riding at 1,650 meters above sea level, so close to 5,000 feet. And
Wow.
it's fascinating the impact on training when you're riding at that altitude is obviously different. And so she's used to it because she lives there, but it's just all of these inputs that you have no idea when you look at an avatar on a screen, right?
Yeah, exactly. I would have no idea how my body would react to something like that, actually.
Yeah. A lot of racers will train, in places that are at altitude, so that when they come down from altitude,
Yeah.
they have an advantage. I don't think it's giving her an advantage right now because she's at altitude, but it's also something that when she travels, if she's just back from travel, it probably impacts her training, right? So
Exactly.
it's
Yeah, I have a teammate in Hurt who actually she lives in two different places, one on altitude and one that isn't. And she always says that she actually performs better when she's on altitude. Um,
wow,
so it's quite funny. Different people, different reactions, different bodies, I suppose.
for sure. And I mean, if she lives at altitude most of the time, then I think her body would probably get used to the oxygen levels at that
Mm-hmm.
point.
Yeah.
Uh, and I mean, it's awesome for her, but I just think it's fascinating when we're all on a game, all over the world, and we have no idea how other people are training or racing in real life.
No, absolutely.
So you see, everybody, I don't think the A's have dropped anyone actually, right?
No, I don't think so either, because you can still see me in the list of riders if I pick somebody who's at the back of the pack. So that's quite interesting. It's just one
Yeah.
big group.
So watching them go over this hill will be super interesting. And you'll see again, nobody wants to save their feather power up to go through that banner, because the feather power up's not going to help you as you go down the hilly KOM forward.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. So, there's this really steep bit, at the front.
Mhm.
That's likely where I would use my feather.
Yeah, but then everybody else is going to know that you don't have a power up. So it'll be interesting to see whether there's games being played um, with those people who have already used their power up. Because if you use your feather, you're going to move forward in the pack.
Oh,
And
definitely.
um, the only downside to that is then everyone knows you don't have a power up.
Yeah, but how useful is that feather further along in the pack, in the climb, I
Not,
would say not that
yeah.
much. So yeah, well, we can see it in the profile. Like the steepest bit is definitely coming up right now. So we see an AERO helmet. We see somebody doing a little bit of an attack off the front. So let's just see who that is.
Yeah, I'm surprised at the use of the arrow here because it's really not helping her that much. When it,
Coldclaw.
when the grade gets that steep, there you
Look
go.
at
There's all the
that.
feathers.
There's the first feather. The pack coming up to the steep bit right now. So just trying to see, but I don't really see that many feathers being dropped.
I see a bunch. So I'm sitting in the back of the pack. I see at least 7 going off.
Ah,
So
right. So maybe in my further view I can't see, but look at this gap though.
yeah, if she can hold this, that would be awesome. It's really hard to hold it down the hilly KOM because that pack speed if they have 20 riders going down, that's definitely gonna hurt her chances of staying away. But it would
I
be,
think so too, but it's an interesting move because Coldclaw from Cryo is actually in third position at the moment in the overall ranking. So definitely a strong rider there.
oh yeah. This would also be a long breakaway because
It
they've
would
got
be a long
21
breakaway.
kilometers left. Yeah.
I just love the visual right now, like the lonesome leader with the statues in the back and the peloton chasing. Would you have gone for a Tron bike though? Because I see Charlotte is on a Tron bike. I don't know if I would have picked a Tron.
I don't ever pick the Tron anymore. I'm not sure why. I mean, if I'm riding just for fun, sometimes I do, but I almost always go for the disc wheel.
Unless you're going up Alpe du Zwift, likely, right?
Yeah, but I don't do that. I avoid that like the plague. So, I mean, especially on these downhills, those disc wheels are just going to give a tiny bit extra to those riders that are trying to recover from that steep bit, and that maybe Klokov doesn't need it. Maybe she's just a superhero.
She
I mean,
might
she is
be,
kind
she
of a
might be.
superhero.
So I'm actually following one of my teammates, Larissa Heibel, right now. She might be super compensated because she actually did the Strade Bianchi Tour version on Sunday. So
Oh, cool.
interesting to see how she's feeling today.
That's awesome. And I'm in with the C's right now, and uh, it looks like they're hitting the steep part of the KOM too right now. So the A's are at the front, the C's are right at that steep part, and I see at least 20 feathers going off right now. So lots of feathers from the C's.
Interesting. I'm gonna stick to the A's till they're at the top of the KOM, or at least till they're a Gruppo Compacto again, which I think is gonna happen real soon. And then we're gonna see if we can actually catch the D's or the E's going up there as well, because it's an interesting point in our course for sure. And maybe pop in with the C's for a little moment to see how they go over the top there.
Yeah, they still have a ton of people in a big group, and which I find fascinating because there's 60 entrants, and right now between the first and the last in this big group, it's about 15 seconds going up the KOM. So it's a lot of women spread out over the course.
Oh, definitely.
So that they collected Coldcloth. She's back in the group, right?
She's back in the group. She was just collected, maybe also tactically decided to get back into the group. There are a couple of riders dropped though, not too many.
And I do recognize some of these names from elite races too. So they're definitely a super high level field.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've gone in with the C's to check how they are going over the top, but I definitely think it's stretched, but it's not broken.
Yeah, which is only a testament to how big the field is, I think,
Yeah.
which is great. I mean, I see some of my friends in here from Coalition, and they also, because of the 300 to 400, you've got C's and B's in here in the traditional categories.
Mm-hmm.
And you definitely see the punchy C riders in the front of this group and the B's, and then the less punchy C's behind. So it'll be interesting to see if they can close it.
I mean,
Because right now it looks like 10 seconds between the front group and the back group.
yeah, the back group, they might have, it all depends on what the front group does, right? I definitely think will be a couple of ladies here who are just very happy that they're still with the group, even. So
Yeah, that front group's about half the field. So it's 33, 34 women. That's enough. That's a big enough group that if they push it here, then they have split the field, and I don't think that they will collect. There is only 7 seconds back to the second group, however. So if this was a team event, what we would be saying to our teams is continue to push it if you have the majority of your women in that front group, right? So you would
definitely.
look at who's in this front group and who's in the split group, who's in the chase group. And if you have the majority of the women in the front group, then you're like, let's push the pace. If you have your team, for instance, in the chase group, then you're not going to do any work and you're going to sit on the back of the pack and hopefully let those women come in, maybe even extend a tiger's tail out for them.
Oh, I absolutely agree, and I'm gonna try and see if I can find these two fellow ladies again, this group again, a little bit later to see how they went on. But it's grown to 10 seconds, so I'm kind of fearing for what they can do in the end.
Especially with that steep downhill that follows. A big group is just going to accelerate away.
So just going in with the D's actually for a moment, I just wanted to see where they were at, and it looks like they're also already past the steeper bit, and look at how stretched this field is as well. Looks like a couple of ladies off the back. Actually, these ladies seem to be in the middle of two groups. So there's the front group to the front, and then let's turn around for a moment and actually look at what's happening there in the back. So we're in with Blair from Herd, and you can see that she's like floating in the middle of these two groups right now.
That's a tough spot. I do think that it does give single riders more hope if the front groups all split up. So if you see the little dots ahead of you and they're all spread out, as a rider that had fallen off, you might be thinking, I can chase, like I can catch this group, as opposed to looking at a front group of 30. If you're a solo rider, you're probably not going to be able to close that gap.
Let's also see what's happening in the east. Something very similar, and you predicted it already, right? So there's like groups of riders and lonesome riders in between groups, right there. But also just missed they came just a little bit too fast, the one after the other, to properly see all the climbs, but it definitely, the steeper bit did some damage right there.
Oh, definitely. Although, yeah, this is one of those, that's a big group and there's onesie twosies behind them. That's a tough sell for someone trying to close.
Like here,
And you see
always
that,
interesting.
yeah, that Holly calling out for working together, which is an interesting move, because some women just don't want to work with others if it's a group that's split apart. They want to push as much as they can, but really, if you can push together and you're in a chase group, you have it and you have the potential to close. I mean, they have 15 seconds up to the group ahead of them. They
Yeah,
could close that if they work together.
I do think they could close that. Again, it's because it's an individual race right now that I would likely do it, but otherwise I would also think about, okay, um, how is the composition of the front group and how is my team doing in the front group? Does it make sense to bring other ladies back to them actually?
Oh,
Um,
for sure. Yeah. And we've had that with sprinters, especially because sprinters sometimes can get dropped after segments or on longer segments like this, where it's a big push for a sprinter's profile.
mm-hmm.
And if your sprinter is fallen off the back, then you really need to rethink what your positioning is if you're in a points race. And that sprinter is likely to say, I want a group to sprint with, or else I have no chance at first through the segment, right? Fastest through
Yeah,
the segment.
yeah.
Um, and their evaluation is going to be very different if it's, oh,
Yeah, I actually did a race on Sunday myself, and I actually made a tactical mistake, exactly the mistake that you were talking about just now, that there were points for fastest through the sprint, and I should have waited for the group behind me to catch me to actually get it, because I did great power numbers, but because I was alone, I actually didn't get the FTS points that I wanted.
yeah, exactly. And we have a couple riders on our team that are very tactical like that. And they're constantly shouting out, if when we're on Discord, if they get dropped, like, what do we do? What do we do in this situation? Which is one of the reasons that I love being on Discord. And I wonder if people are on Discord for this race, because there is no team element, right? And it is just a scratch race, so there's no intermediate points.
Yeah. Well, it looks like these ladies at least found each other. They are not riding alone. Unfortunately, we cannot say this for this ART rider. She's just off the back of the front group, so I'm
Oh,
hoping.
fire socks though.
Yeah, I'm hoping that she can catch. Wow, another good push. She's definitely going for it, wanting to catch them. Come on, one more push on the flatbed. It's gonna be
I
difficult. It's like 3 seconds. It's horrible to close those 3 seconds at D speed.
Luckily, there's a long flat segment coming up that if she can get back in that group, she has a bit of time to rest before um, before the finish. So
Oh, definitely. So should we check how far our A's are from the finish, actually?
yeah, I'm with them right now. They just went through the Fuego Flat sprint. So, and they have splintered a little, surprisingly.
A little bit. It's there will be people that set that right, I think.
Yeah, and surprisingly, you see some quite strong women in the split off group, like Femke Vassen. Is she your teammate?
Yeah, she's my teammate. Let's
Yeah,
let's actually see where she's at. There she is.
she she's in a group of very strong women that I am surprised are not in that front group.
I think Femke and Mil and Mim and Julia Pello and Tennille as well. They've raced in the same FRR category. I don't know if you know what FRR is, but Flamme Racing, amazing multi-stage event that gets put up by Richard Vale and Haley Vale. I just love to ride it. Yeah.
I think it takes a special person to love that type of racing. Um, it's saying a lot about you that you love it. And I guess if they're in the same category, it makes sense. They are very different profiles of
Definitely.
riders. So, and you saw Tennille likes to lead from the front. So you saw her going on the Dirty Suppressa up in the front. So it must have been that steep part of that KOM that really just
I think so. I
gave her
think so.
too
And
much
I
of a
also know
discount.
that Femke, for instance, she's coming back um, uh, from some health issues as well. So I'm honestly not surprised she's there. I can think she can already be very happy and proud that she's starting in this field today.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the impact of elevation on your training, but there's also the you have no idea what this person did over the weekend element to it. So I
Yeah,
remember actually,
obviously I have some inside information of my teammates, but yeah, you never know what's happening around people's lives, right? Look at
yeah,
me. I usually also am in this pack and would love to be in this pack, but this is the better choice for me at this point.
I do remember watching a Zwift qualifier, and it was Charles Barclay and was off the front doing something fantastic, and Elise Gallegos was not doing fantastically. And people were like, oh, I don't know why. And I was like, I know why. Because my teammate competed against her in an Ironman over the weekend. And Elise Gallegos had won the women's category of the Ironman. And I was like, I don't even know how she's alive.
How is she doing this? How is she here at this moment? Right?
Yeah. It should be like something that you could put into Zwift, like, oh, haha, what'd you do over the weekend? Oh, 112 miles worth of
Which is what we do
biking.
if we're on Discord with the team, right? We talk a
Yeah.
little bit about the race. We talk a little bit about what's happening in life. Oh my God, these I sometimes am very interested to see that these ladies. I sometimes talk to them more as I do my own family.
Yeah, and that connection really actually follows through to in real life. I mean, I'm going to the Zwift Community Live event and I'm meeting up with some of my teammates beforehand, and I like them just as much as I like my college friends. I mean, that's saying a lot,
I
like
mean, you have something to bond over immediately. Like I'm very sorry to say that I couldn't come to the Swift Insider event, but then I'm very happy to say that I'll be traveling up to the UK, and we are actually meeting. The group has grown to 12 ladies from the herd that are actually coming to the in real life weekend. So that's super cool.
that is awesome. And I do feel like um, I don't ride outside a ton, mostly because I don't have any women to ride with of like my level. And um, Zwift is like the place where you find those women and you can go on bike vacations because you're the same speed. Like
Yeah,
what their speed is.
not only that. I mean, some of us, I think I'm very well trained for the 1 hour, 2 hour Swift thingy. But then I have uh, a teammate who is she's just a diesel. She can keep going at that pace for hours and hours and hours, and I just love following her wheel because I go faster because of her.
That's awesome. And I think it's a great vision of the long term to be able to connect with women and meet up in real life, because as you look at going on a bike vacation, it makes sense to go to places together with people that you like, that you train with, that you trust.
Absolutely. I mean, have you got and yeah, you're going to the Zwift Insider event, but anything else planned cycling related this summer?
No, that's it for me. I am going to Iceland, but I'm bringing my children, so that's a hard pass. I mean, my 6-year-old does Zwift, and
Oh, cool.
yeah, but he's not fun to ride with because he says, "Mommy, I'm attacking you," and he'll just constantly try to beat me, which is, you don't want to lose to your 6-year-old. Maybe your 8-year-old, but not your 6-year-old. All right, so who else do we have in here that we could talk about? So I talked about Jill Pruitt. Is Valerie Pa in here? I don't see her in here.
Going
That's
through
too
the
bad.
list, but they keep changing as well, right? So very hard to find one specific person. Um, well, I did look up some of the best sprinters that may have started today, which I thought was also interesting. So theoretically, one of the best sprinters we have here or could have here is Sabrina Horner. So I'm just, yeah,
Oh,
I saw her. I saw her. Look at that.
she is a crazy sprinter. I've competed against her before, and just, it's almost like you give up before you start, because when you see her in the pen, because she's a very, very strong sprinter. And I I mean, I race in Bs, but I imagine she's probably also one of the strongest in As.
Yeah, if I had arranged them on 15-second watt the kilo, and it tells me that Sabrina Horner is actually the watt the kilo monster with a 12.7 watt the kilo for 15 seconds.
Whew. And she's not she's a midweight rider. So sometimes when you see those numbers, I'm always like, oh, are they 43 kilograms? In which case
Yeah,
it would be an amazing sprint, but it's not going to give you as much speed.
no,
But no,
if I
she's
sorted
midweight.
on raw watts, she was also right up there.
Oof.
So the question obviously always is like how, because there seem to be some attacks, there seems to be some action going on in the A's right now. What is your base level? Do you still have that sprint at the end of the race, actually?
Yeah. And if it was a team race, you might be coordinating, right? Saying, can you pull the line at the front and make it harder so that the sprinters have to work hard if you don't have sprinters in your group, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but right now, there's no motivation to do that in this type of group. And so they were only going 39
Oh,
kilometers per hour. So, uh-oh, did someone get kicked out of the race?
no, that was me trying to fan view somebody who was swifting, but not in the race. So I am going back to the sea because I just wanted to get a view and an idea on how they are doing, where they're at. But it seems that it's it's a group right now. Um, they're still the group that is, well, 19 seconds off. This group has grown, as we can see.
So the Tabitha in Crush Pod was one of the women that we were watching and wondering whether she was going to close.
Exactly.
So it looks like those that chase group got back in.
Picked up some ladies along the way, but a 20-second gap will be a tough one, right? So
Especially in the flats. Yeah,
yeah.
there's no real defining point for the rest of the course where they could make up that ground. Like if there's a big segment, you could do a big push on the segment, but you really only have Saddle Springs to go. That's uphill.
It makes me wonder how many of these ladies are actually maybe on Discord, still coordinating, trying to help their lead lady, the lady who's potentially best in the overall standings at the moment. For C, that would be, I think it's the Mette Bjeld. Let's see if she's in with us as well today. I thought it was a Danish flag that I should search for. Where are we? Shout out if you see her in this, oh, quite big group actually still together. I don't know. I can't see the name.
I do think that anybody that's trying to support their teammates is gonna do it if they're in this group. I do wonder, let's see, in the C's, in the top 10 finishing, there's only 2 AO. So those are the only teams that have more than one person already in the top 10.
Yeah.
And so if they're all in this group, I imagine that their other teammates are probably going to support them, but
I see at this point at the back of the group 3 Aeonian riders.
That's where you always find them. They're always right in that pocket of like the most draft. And I think that's probably the most predictable spot for an AO rider.
I also like to cruise there in that spot. If I have like energy left over and I know that okay, if there's a gap forming, I will be able to punch it and actually go back to the front. That's when I love to sit at the back of the group. If I'm already struggling a little bit, I'd rather be in the middle of the group, that if it breaks, I know I'm on the good side of the break.
That's fair. Yeah. So I'm actually still watching the A's. If you want to hop in, they just came up Saddle Springs and there were some fire socks going off, but I think it just made some people use their power-ups, which may have been the strategic point that they were trying to do, right? So if you do a push, you're either looking to shake people off the back, or you're looking to make a break, or you're looking to make people use their power-ups. Because
exactly. And the funny thing is, like, it's not a bad moment to actually elongate the line a little bit and make it heavy, because there is a slight downhill coming now that could catch some riders off guard.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because when I first started riding, my husband's an outside rider and always tried to flow over the tactics from outside. And I'd be like, but it's a game and you have power-ups. Like you don't have to do that. You don't have to just make a push to make a break. If I make a push and I make someone use the power-up, then I'm at an advantage because I have the power-up going into a segment like a finish. Or
yeah, and a push on the real road, it's definitely different than a push in Zwift because of the pack dynamics that Zwift actually has.
Yeah. So I saw at least one pop off. So I know at least one person was tired enough, or maybe fat fingered the power up.
I once had a sweat drop get a power off going.
Oh no. That's horrible. You're like, why?
I didn't want, but it wasn't logical anyway. It was like a feather on a downhill, something like that, and I was like, oh god, I had saved that feather.
I've done that. I also have tried to give ride-ons and accidentally press my power up before. So,
yep.
I mean, yeah, we all have those stories.
I think my worst one was when I was doing a TTT with the Team NL back then, and it was a mixed B, so it was super hard, and I was the fourth person. No, I was the fifth person still on, but 2 of us were struggling. And then a sweat drop actually stopped my ride. And
no.
all I had to do was click cancel, but obviously I was done for, so I clicked stop. Oh god, yeah, and then I was gone. Then there were 4 left to finish.
No, that's horrible.
Yeah, it was at the top of the right. I was standing and sitting back down because we were at the top, and that's when the sweat drop fallen off.
That's
So
horrible. That's a horror story. That's a Zwift horror story.
so yeah, I bought some play controllers.
Yeah, there you go. Well, so as we were talking, I was clicking through the results to see if any team had a bunch of women in the top 10 from last week. And the only category with that dynamic is the B category, where there are 3 Swedish Swifters in that top. They're actually all in the top 8. So they could do some serious team tactics coming into that finish line.
Well, we're actually like there's a reason why I'm staying with the A's, obviously, because they're going closer and closer to the finish line. And then I would just suggest that we go B, C, D. We just pick them all off and watch their finishes, see if there are some surprise attacks, and see what the Swedish Swifters will do around the finish. If
I
they've
think
got
that'll be
something
perfect because
planned.
also it looks like the A's are about 1.5 kilometers ahead of the B's. So I think the timing will work well to capture that finish.
I think so too.
And let's see where the C's are. The C's are at 24. So yeah, they're about 1 kilometer behind the B's. So timing should be pretty good for that.
And it will give us some exciting finishes to watch, I think.
Yeah, big groups. A, B, C, all big groups.
London. Ah, that's not who I wanted. Something sometimes very difficult to get to the person you want. I thought it would be interesting to actually watch the leader of the A cats when we go into the finish. And I'm back with Jill Pruitt. See where you are. She's in here, I'm sure. She's defending her pole position. Jo Munden is the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm surprised that I'm just Sabrina finished 17th last week. So I imagine in this type of setup, she's going to do better than that. So it'll be interesting to see.
Actually, with Sabrina right now. If I find Jo, I might switch over to her. But seeing that Sabrina is our what the kilo monster here, she will also be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah, especially if they have a feather power up, it's not super. You can use it for a finish, but it's not super useful for the finish.
Exactly.
So I'm wondering if anybody's going to go long here on this exit to the tunnel if they're A, not a sprinter, and B, have a feather.
Well, there's a feather coming, and it is Sabrina Horner, I think, who has the feather, unfortunately for her.
Oh, you do see some fire socks. Look at that. Pew, pew, pew.
Ooh. Somebody wants to make it a little bit tougher at the front, looks
Wow,
like.
I saw some red numbers from Jill Pruitt there.
Yeah. Nobody really going for the break, though.
Maybe they did just enough to stay in that big group. One of my teammates articulated the other day that she had catted up to A category and then always felt like she never got to work on her sprint because she was always so tired by the time it came down to the finish line because their base pace is so high.
I get that.
So
I had a brief spell into the A's as well myself, and that was exactly my feeling. So I get it.
Yeah, it's especially in a group like this where it's at the end of we said just over 40 minutes, so they're coming in at right around 44 minutes. That's a long time to be holding this pace and then sprint afterwards.
I mean,
this
look
little,
at the numbers now already. It's already going to 4 or 5 watts the kilo for a lot
oh
of the
yeah.
ladies. So that's super
And
difficult to get into that finish already at such
you
a
have
high
this,
pace.
oh yeah. You got this little downhill where people are pressing their feather power-ups early because they last for 30 seconds and it helps you with acceleration. Oh, look at all the Swedish lifters in a line.
Oi, oi, oi. And look at
They
how
all went
fast
super
they're
early.
going. Like, I'm just trying to
Wow.
get to the front right now.
All red numbers. It
Wheel,
looks like,
wheel, wow.
yeah. And Svartstrom and
Swadstrom,
Pruitt.
a little too late though
Nice.
from Swartzen. That was a high speed coming in there.
Yeah. And Joe looks like she was fifth, maybe, through that finish line. But you saw the whole right side of my screen was red numbers. So
Yep, definitely.
that's an incredible.
The
Everyone should
bees,
be proud of that.
definitely, and the bees are just going up that a little attack that you could make. Also, some orange red numbers already there as well. What a sprint though!
Yeah, that was incredible. I don't think I've seen everybody in red before on the right-hand side. So that's speaking to the quality of the field and the intensity with which they're throwing themselves at this race.
Look at the bees; they're way more strung out. Somebody's
Yeah.
pushing it on the front a lot.
Yeah, already at 5 to 6 watts a kilo at the front. That's oh,
See
she
what
backed off.
happens at the
That's good.
back. Ah.
I don't know if they're going to be able to close this. That was a big group, but
If you're at the back of that second group, I'm not sure you're going to make it back to the front.
no. Although there is a downhill, so they're going to go right, and then there's a tiny downhill that if you're a bigger rider, you can use to their advantage if you have a power up. Unfortunately, a bunch of people use their power ups early before that turn, and so I don't think they're going to get the full benefit.
The two synergy riders are pushing it. It almost looks like a little bit of a lead out. Trying to.
It's interesting because I don't see another one
camera.
of their riders, so maybe they're leading each other out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here we're
Dixon
going.
looks like she's already done. Yeah.
Here we're going.
Maybe it's a little too early. There's Joanne Ernst. She's a great sprinter. I see my teammate in there. Go, Justin!
That is a crush bot. That's a crush bot win. That's a crush bot win.
Wow. Oh yeah.
With an escort coming in second.
Wow, that was a good sprint too. You saw they all kind of came together much more than we thought they were going to in that last turn.
Definitely.
And Joanne was sitting in second there. So with a first today, who got first? Did you see Maudsley?
I did not. I think she might come into to first place with that win, because I didn't see Melanie Dobbins there.
Yeah, unless it was Maudsley. I think Joanne is in first for next week.
But Maudsley is from ESRT, and it was a crush pot lady winning.
Oh no, Joanne Ernst won. It's so she would have had 80 from last week because she finished second last week.
True. Okay, already time for the next sprint. Look at all those power-ups dropped right here. Come on, Caroline. Look at them go.
All the way through. Come on,
all the way through. That is in the white jersey.
Is that Swedish Swifters?
No, that's not. Ah, it's so difficult to see sometimes. I couldn't see which team jersey that was.
Yeah, I think it was that Wyn, W-Y-N? Was that the woman in the purple Tron?
I think so.
All right. Yeah, hopefully we... Oh, good. We have time. We have time before the Ds.
Wait 1 second. I'm in the second group, I think. So, not that much time, actually.
Oh, no.
Look at
there's
this.
Aunt Ruth.
Completely strung out.
Yeah. So in this group, Lena is in first. She's on ESRT. Watt Fabric, Janine Schumann is in third. Aunt Ruth is in second. AO is in fourth. So we see those same people up here.
I'm in with Aunt Ruth at the moment. That
That's
will
right.
be fun to watch.
She's a pro. And I expect she's going to show you how to close that vest. So she's sitting in a position right here where she's not in the wind, and she's not going to put herself into the wind until she needs to. So see Janine right behind her. She's right behind her in the standings. So also a good sprinter. Let's just see how this
from
goes.
Watt Fabric, yeah.
No one really popping off yet. So they're waiting. Oh, there goes home. That's pretty early.
Aunt Ruth is going to the front, but not putting her face in the wind yet. But look at that, home going really early.
Yeah, super early, but super high too. So maybe she can
come
hold
on,
it.
Come on, Aunt Ruth. Come on. She's going in for second, but a little bit too late.
Look at those red numbers.
Go.
Oh yeah,
go.
Home. That was very strategic. Wow.
Home having an amazing finish.
Yeah. I mean, Ruth she's a pro. So not surprised that she was able to tactically do that, but Home really came out of nowhere. That was...
You, not me. I'm not that interesting at the moment to watch. Just standing in the pen.
It looks like Home didn't race last week. So even though she got first in this race, she's likely not going to, she won't take the top position because it matters over time. But that was an incredible sprint.
And I didn't see Lena Ilse, who is currently in the first position at the top 3. So Aunt Ruth maybe has gone and put herself in pole position right now.
Yeah, and I wonder, Abby Hun is in second from my team. Let me see if I can.
Hun, yes, found her.
All right. Oh, so this front group is pretty small but mighty.
Yep. Molly Cripe is from Revo. Let's see if we see any Revos in here as well. I actually don't.
See,
yeah, I do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, to the left there.
Yep.
Interesting to have a little bit of an idea on who to watch. So we're in with Abby Hun from Coalition. Right next to her in the peloton is Molly Kripke, who is in first position in the standings at the moment. And then third is Anna Simmons from ERCT. Let's see, can I find that jersey as well? I think that black jersey with the stripes in the middle. Yeah, with the headphones on.
Those are one of those Swift Games. I think those are the pink ones from this year.
I also saw Manon Holtman in here. She has a pretty good sprint as well from ERCT.
And she's sitting in 5th, so...
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting one, I think, to watch.
So this is where we saw a lot of moves in the other categories.
Yeah, well, there is a move, but she doesn't... Yeah. Anna Hun is not letting her go. Well, sorry, Abby Hun is not letting her go, so that's a good sign.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's Come on. That's a tough move to follow.
Back in the draft now. Come on. What time is it in the USA? That American flag? It's a little bit small.
It's 12:20 Pacific, so Abby is American. Yeah. So it could be 3:20, could be.
Oh, I have enough issues with time zones already. Can't imagine a country where there's actually multiple time zones in one.
Yes. I mean,
little groove off the back right there.
That's 2 seconds. I don't think they're going to close that. Yeah. The thing is, they have to fight up this little drag to be within distance to get the draft going down that little.
And they are. Look at that.
Yeah. It's
At least
1 second.
one.
Yeah.
One of them made that hop onto the first group, but the other three are in trouble, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to, even if they pushed at this point, they'd be pretty tired, because here's where people are positioning and getting ready for their sprint.
Absolutely.
So we're looking at Kripe, Hun, Simmons, Bruno, Madsen, and Holtman, our top 5. So
Yes.
I see at least 3 of them in here. 4.
4, yeah.
Yep.
We're in with Hun.
All right. Let's see. Go, Abby. She started
There
pretty
she
early.
goes. Yeah, but others also going early.
Oh,
so
Manon's got 8. Oh, this is a tough one.
Abby Hunt also putting 8 in.
There. This is so interesting. They're so evenly matched.
Yeah, look at them go.
Not a lot of changes in positioning. Oh, Abby.
My God.
Abby would have gotten second if she had 50 more meters. That was a tough fight.
That was an interesting fight as well. Like you said, they were so well matched.
Yeah. So maybe a little jostling, but top 3 were already in the top 5, so we'll see where that.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes. What we can do is obviously look at the outcomes of the day, because I do have the have it open right here. The signups, and then we also have some, no, not results in yet. What, live then? Or maybe refresh the page, that will also help. Okay, no official results yet, but we can look at the live and see what is happening there. Should give us a little bit of an idea what was happening there. So we're going back to the A category, the first finish that we saw. And what we can see is that, let me just close this is just annoying for us in the background. Comhairle Wheelf, we called it correctly, I think. She finished first today. And as far as from coming in with a high pace there.
Yeah, but neither of those were in the top 5 before today. So Svardstrom's finished 8th last week. So she'll probably launch into the top 5 from this, and Jill Pruitt will stay top 5 for sure.
For sure, yeah. And Joe Munden, who is first at the moment and 5th today. So first last week, 5th today. That will be interesting as well.
Probably still on the podium, and same with Leah.
Yeah.
All right. So not a lot of changes, although sometimes I wish that the races were like best 3 of 4, which I know James Bailey has done with the women's series before. I like that, like, if you miss a week, you're not totally out of it, because I think that demotivates people to.
I think it works better if you have like 6 races, like 5 out of 6, but 3 out of 4, it's like 4 aren't that many anyway. Yeah, I get your point though. It's nice that if you end up having a bad day or whatever, that you kind of like, it's okay to have a bad day.
Yeah, or if you can't make one.
Yeah.
Well, that was some awesome racing. Thank you for setting this up. You are brilliant with your setup. So that's awesome. Yeah. It's hard to work without multiple streams. So, but it's also hard to get multiple streams going, because you either need 2 accounts or you need like a broadcasting setup. And from the community level, I think yours is pretty fantastic. So
well, we're learning as we go. Today we have us in live picture, which is also new. So I think it's fun. to do, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. But indeed, I don't have all the streaming equipment that you maybe see from ZMS Studios or the other broadcasters, but it doesn't make it less fun to do. So yeah.
And it is awesome to see the different tactics playing out from the different categories, especially this course was a little longer, so it was a little easier to see all of the categories, and it was great that you were able to capture all the finished sprints.
Yeah, I think last week it was very difficult to catch all the good moments from all the races. Today, I think the race by itself, because of the parcours, because of the route, and Magnificent 8, it was also a little bit more quiet. You had some downtime to look around and to see what was happening everywhere. So yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, awesome. And we'll be back next week.
Next week, what are we doing next week?
Well, we're going to. Oh, you mean the course?
Yeah.
You would ask that right after I closed it.
Obviously.
I mean, hold on. Next week we are in Libby Hill after party.
Ooh, I always like myself an after party.
Yeah, that is going to be an interesting one. That one is back to punchy. But it is a combination of you have to stay with the front group in order to make that after party worth it. So, and that one's even longer than this one. So 33.2 kilometers for that one.
Ah, well, who needs sleep anyway, right?
Yeah. All right.
Alrighty.
Well, thanks very much. And thanks for everybody who joined us. And if you have any ideas for how we can best capture data in game, for instance, any people who nerd out on data collection, it would be great to know.
Yes, absolutely. And any other feedback, just let us know as well. We are on the Discord server. You can chat to us via the Iceni series or send a private message. Always welcome to hear and learn as well. Because like I said, first time that we're doing this together and the first time that I'm actually trying to broadcast stuff like this. So yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
If you
personally,
let us know.
I think you did awesome.
I think I did awesome as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. Anyways, have a good evening, everybody. Until next week.
All right. Bye.